Hello, church family. As I was getting ready for the devotion, the Lord brought me to the passage my mom gave me when I was baptized. The passage is Ephesians 2, 1 through 10. It reads, "And you were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked the following course of the world, following the prince and the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of our body and the mind. We were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love which he has loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised up with the coming ages, he might show the immeasurable richness of his grace and kindness towards us in Jesus Christ. For grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing, it is the gift of God, not the results of work, so that one may boast. For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which he has prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." In the passage, Paul dives deep into the heart of the sinful man and then rises to the heart of a good and gracious and merciful God. Paul paints a beautiful picture of how we are transformed by God's grace. Paul begins this passage with a discussion of the fate of a man apart from God. With a culture that is so immersed in media, it's easy to see the dark side of man lived out. Lately, the news has been filled with so many people's hurt and anger and the expression of those emotions. While it's easy to watch the news and to see the evil, it's harder to grasp that we too are capable of those things apart from God. Paul addresses the audience he is writing to as you. Paul's description of a dead heart is not one for a particular group of people. It is one for all of us. We are all susceptible to the human condition, and we are all in need of a loving God. We have all disobeyed, lived for our sinful desires, and we're dead of heart. But thankfully, that's not where our lives stopped. In verse 4, Paul begins his statement, "But God." Our hearts were dead, but God desired more for his children. We serve a good and gracious God who is rich in mercy and loves us with an unimaginable love. God took his children out of their human condition and showed them his divine compassion. We have been saved and shown the immeasurable richness of his grace and kindness. There is nothing we have done to deserve God's grace, and yet we can delight in our perfect gift from our perfect Creator. Paul concludes his passage with this: "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." We have been intricately and uniquely designed by our Father in heaven. We are his workmanship, with each of us our own gifts and talents. We have been saved by his grace to do his work, which he has prepared the way for us to accomplish with his help. What a blessing it is to serve a God who has designed us to do mighty works for his kingdom.